So, welcome to Pitchit York, which is our third Pitchit York event, our 21st event, which is pretty exciting. So, being here for the third time, this is our second time in the York facility. So, we do want to thank the guys for hosting us here, which is always awesome of them. And you can follow us, hashtag us at PitchitTO. So, we're always happy and excited to get everybody feeding us, which is good. And what do we do at Pitchit York, PitchitTO, and the whole brand itself? We're here to help you work with your business and move it forward so you can get in front of funding. So the whole idea is that if we can work with fundamentals, we can help you understand your business, and then you'll be able to get up here and pitch, practice, and then get you ready for investment. So we want you to spend less time finding money and more time growing your company, which I think is the big problem that we all face as entrepreneurs, is that we'd rather just have the money so we can start driving a lot harder and faster in what we're doing. So all the companies that we've been working with over the years, I'm not sure if this is all of them, but it's certainly a good chunk of them. We've had over 85 plus companies that have pitched in the last year, being that we've had 22 events, or 21, sorry, 22 will be Thursday night. So you might recognize some of these brands as you scan through. And some of these brands have also, which is really exciting, have received funding through the events, which is pretty good. We're just accumulating up numbers and which companies, but we're probably closer to 10 companies now that in the batch that have received funding through what we're doing at OPN and Pitchit. So you want more? We have a pretty exciting event on Thursday, which is PitchitTO Toronto, our Toronto event. And this is the kind of staple. It'll be our 12th, I believe our 12th show will be happening. And the good thing about this is that it's also our 10-year anniversary for Hardboot, which is one of the partners companies that I run and we're a part of, I guess, and helps fund what we're doing here. So it's pretty exciting. It's been 10 years. I can't believe I've been here 10 years, man. Jeez, it's pretty cool. So some of the cool events that are coming up, we've been working with the Up Next series, filming that, which is with Frank, which is a great event that's running in the Durham region. T-Heroes on November 2nd. And then we have the Up session on Wednesday in Durham region. So if you guys are always interested in some great content, we're actually having one of the startups that we work with, which is called Chimp Treats, and they will be doing a talk tomorrow morning in Whitby, where they're going to talk about how they've come from starting as a company in the last year, and they're now in Whole Foods and growing. So pretty exciting talk, and it's going to be how they're doing it and where they came from, which is what we're all interested in. How did you get into Whole Foods with a new product? So that's what they've been doing, and it'll be a great talk. The Up series, again, PitchitTO and Pitchit Durham will be on November 20th. And then York Angels is running a base camp from the 1st to the 3rd. So there'll be a lot of mentoring and seeing some great companies. So for our sponsors, we want to thank Hardboot, Flow, who provides the water, York Angels for providing us with some angels and always supporting what we're doing. Seneca Helix, Startup York, System Bind, and LaunchU for all of their help in putting this together. So on the Hardboot side, always throwing in a little tiny blurb about us. As I mentioned, it's been 10 years, and we're just celebrating on Thursday night. So if you guys are around and interested to come down, we're pitching, having the pitch event at 251 Queen Street, which is right across from the Rex, and probably should be a lot of fun. So come, have some cake. And this is about me. I don't really want to talk about it, so you guys can read real quick. And we're moving on. So we're all here for the pitch event, which is what we like to do, and that's all about showcasing anybody and everybody that has some great ideas and they're building on. So the way the format works, that we're all quite familiar with, is that we have an 11-minute pitch. We mirror what we do at the angel groups, and the idea is that you want to mirror and get just as good then that you can carry this over when you do get in front of the dollars. So it's 11-minute pitch. The advisors will provide 1 minute of feedback each, and the feedback will be very direct. They want to make sure they're there to help you. And at the same time, with the feedback that they are providing, you won't be able to say anything as you pitch. So you're just waiting, let each person go through for 1 minute, and then at the end we're going to do Q&A from the crowd so you guys can build up those questions on how and what you think is going to help that startup. And be direct and give a good question, because at the end of the day, they need these to be able to move forward in their business as well. I think some of you dropped your cards off. We always do a draw, so you'll get one of the cool OPN t-shirts. And they have some My Best 11, which is my favorite. So you can get one of those, and we'll do a draw. We've had some quick changes, and our fellow Angelo has stepped up to jump in for us because Gregory is with the other startup stuck in traffic. So they will be here, but Angelo's been awesome to jump in. So. And just to throw out some quick facts, Angelo is a great guy. He's come from the government side, and he's been helping startups for a very long time. And he was Angel of the Year, and he is also worth York Angels. The second is Sean. And Sean Stevens, I have known for, I think, maybe, I don't know, feels like a long time, but, oh yeah, certainly. It's like last week we met, and he's a really good guy, and he owns a software company and product companies. And he's a York Angel as well, so a very good guy to get to meet as well. And then Mohammed is a great guy. We actually just recently met, and I won't say other than the fact that he knows business. They grow business. He's an investor, and he's looking forward to hearing all the good things he's going to bring up for other startups. So the first round of businesses, we have Hedgehog, Wisebatt, the Alkion, which is they're not here yet, and Arrowinics, which I believe Everett's here, which is good. So we're moving faster. They're slowly pulling everybody in. And then we're going to have the National Research Council of Canada come up and give you guys a 5-minute pitch on how you can find money, which is always exciting, and that's what we like. So to kick things off, we're going to have Hedgehog jump up. And sorry, I've been working on this thing where I can't pace. I'm supposed to stand still, I've been told, and I just can't seem to do it. Hi,
everyone. Just bear with me a little bit. My throat's really scratchy. My name is Kevin. At a Hedgehog, we're building the last umbrella you'll ever buy. The problem I'm trying to solve here is very simple. Umbrellas break. How many of you here have broken an umbrella before? If you look around the room, that's pretty much almost every one of you. Did you know that average commuter breaks more than a dozen umbrellas over a decade? In areas that rain much more frequently, this number multiplies. And I'm no exception to this. I used to live in Vancouver, the reigning capital of the country. Even like today, where you have a lot of rain, Vancouver, that's pretty much 90% of the time of the year. During my 5 years of living in Vancouver, I broke countless umbrellas in every way, shape, or form. Whether the stem was weak, or even flips inside out so easily from a small gust of wind, or even the canopy material that just simply rips. I've broken so many umbrellas that we decided to kind of build our own umbrella. Overall, over 1 billion umbrellas are broken every single year. Considering the planet's only about 7 billion people, that's a lot of broken umbrellas. Now this is where our solution comes in. We created the perfect composition of strength, style, and convenience. We've re-engineered the umbrella frame from the bottom up, creating a fully carbon fiber frame and incorporating automotive technology to make it robust and wind resistant. And for style, building an everlasting frame, we incorporate a fully interchangeable canopy, such that you change the canopy to any design, any pattern, any color to match the mood of the day, or just to play around the weather. And finally, convenience. We create a very lightweight and portable product, such that you can always carry around with you, and also have loss prevention technology, so you won't lose it. And one of our core pieces of technology is our wind flex system. How this kind of works is similar to the suspension system kind in your car. When you're driving along a very bumpy road, there's going to be a lot of little imperfections, a lot of potholes, and your suspension system kind of eases out all those little imperfections to give you a smoother ride overall. Our umbrella behaves the exact same way, but against high-speed winds. So every one of our ribs can independently pivot and fluctuate such that we can counteract all incoming winds and won't flip inside out. Better yet, let's see this in action. On the left, you see a conventional umbrella going through our wind test. You can see, just from a small gust of wind, it'll flip inside out really easily. On the right, you see an umbrella equipped with our wind flex system. No matter how much wind is impacting on it, it won't flip inside out. We've wind tested our system to over 70 miles per hour. So you're walking around those type of winds, you might be in a tornado. Now you get all these great features for just $99, and we make a healthy 75% margin on every umbrella. And for spare canopies, you can get them for just $10 each, and we make a healthy 70% on every canopy sold. So what's the demand like for a $99 umbrella? We launched our product onto Kickstarter a year and a half ago, and today we have over 900 customers, sold over 1,200 umbrellas, over 2,500 canopies, and we just started shipping, and we're shipping to over 40 different countries. Of our Kickstarter backers, over 80% of them have never spent more than $40 ever on an umbrella product, prior to spending more than double that for ours. The number one reason, durability and wind-resistant technology that they simply couldn't find anywhere else. And we have already got amazing reviews from people who received their umbrella. Mark in Switzerland was absolutely astounded by the level of quality and how simple it was to change his canopy. He's recommending to all his friends. Kylie in Paris absolutely loved using her umbrella in the French rain. And even we have a lot of press traction. Over 50 articles reading about us, talking about how great our umbrella is. Huffington Post calls our umbrella the incredible Hulk of the umbrella universe. And Gizmag said this will be the last and best umbrella you'll ever own. So what's the market like for umbrellas? For our everyday product, the North American market is a $380 million market. Globally, this is a $5 billion market. You have areas in Southeast Asia that face typhoon seasons that are in dire need of a product like ours. Now, umbrellas are not new age technology. Umbrellas have been around for centuries. And as such, there's been a lot of new innovations to make the umbrella more wind resistant and more durable. You have companies that change the shape of the canopy to make it more aerodynamic, or even companies that turn the umbrella to be a wearable. However, none of these companies have found much commercial success because they strayed away from a conventional umbrella design. People want to buy an umbrella that looks like an umbrella. Think of the Segway. The Segway was an engineering marvel. However, it was never really socially adapted because it was kind of seen dorky to ride a Segway, similar to how these products were not able to commercialize successfully. And that's how we incorporate all our core technology, yet retain a beautiful umbrella design that people learn to use and love. And our sales are indicative of this. We have over $120,000 from our pre-order sales. We have another $50,000 of LOIs from Holt Renfrew, Samsonite, and Totes regarding various deals. And we project another $500,000 sales in our first year and $2 million by year 2. And our roadmap to success is very evident. On the short term, we'll be heavily focusing on the North American market and online sales. In the midterm, we're going to be focusing on brick and mortar and expanding to international sales, as well as creating a Bluetooth tracker for your umbrella so you'll never lose it. And also, we're going to be working on some private label partnerships. And long term, we'll be expanding our product line to golf umbrellas, mini umbrellas, and beach umbrellas, but also incorporate our WindFlex system into many umbrellas to come. As for our canopy library, we want to create a simple, quick, and cost-effective method such that you can customize your canopy to however you like, whether you want to customize by the individual panel or even go crazy with the overall design. Umbrella customization has never been simpler. And for our go-to-market, we already have filming sessions with the Discovery Channel and CTV lined up, and we have influencers ready to promote our product as we begin our launch next month. And not only that, with conventional umbrellas, we're going to be targeting the commuter market first, creating a series of bus ads. We're not even going to use social media not just for a simple promotion, but we're going to create a series of various events where you can chance to win an umbrella, beginning with our Trash the Past. So if you have a broken umbrella and you take a picture of it, you have a chance to win one of ours. And we have the team to do this. Me and my co-founder, Keihei, we have over 20 years of product development experience, primarily in the automotive field. We worked on projects such as high-performance race cars, Boeing planes, and we're even on the development team of the Chevy Camaro. We have a long track record of bringing products from initial concept all the way to production. And we're supported by a great cast of mentors and advisors. Through the Velocity program, Community Tech, and Accelerator Center, we have a great set of mentors to advise us on business development, hardware, and supply chain. We bootstrapped this company from the very beginning. Using only founder cash, we're able to bring an initial concept all the way to MVP to bring it to market on Kickstarter. And that's where we got a majority of our initial sales. Through grants and other funding, we've been able to go from concept all the way to full-on production, produce our first pilot run, and even have 2 patents. Now we're looking to raise $300K for 15% equity. A majority of these funds will be used towards additional inventory, marketing needs, and also continue our product development. We're Hedgehog, and we're building the last umbrella you'll ever buy.
Perfect. Nice job. Angela, you want to kick us off?
I can kick you if you want. So, Kevin, good presentation. Like it. I see a few challenges in your business model that I can't reconcile in my mind. And the cost differential of what exists out there now and what you're targeting at. I think that there may be some niche verticals that can bear that high dollar value, but you need to look at how can you capture that lower end marketplace that doesn't have that capacity to spend that much money. I also think you need to really emphasize the mechanism on customizing the canopies, because I see that as being a real potential to grow your company.
Great presentation. Honestly, fantastic. I think you're ready to go in front of angels at this point. I do think you are going to get beaten up, though, about a couple of things, which inevitably you go in front of a room of angels, you're going to get beaten up. That's how it works. A couple of things that I saw in the presentation that are missing or you didn't answer, so that you're going to get beaten up if you don't. One is protection from competitors. You had a little trademark symbol, but there wasn't a lot on patents, et cetera. I know you probably have those or have begun that. Get it in here somewhere, even if it's a little side note and you don't need to say it. The next SKU, so what is the next product that you're going to offer? So you haven't talked about, okay, there we go, right? Where are all the next products that you're going to make and all the next things? Because you sort of left me hanging on, okay, you know, where are you going to take this business next? If I believe you're only going to have this one hit and then you're going to run away, I'm not going to invest because I'm just going to lose my money. Also, you're going to get beaten up on the valuation because that just happens, but that's just part of the ride. So the little graphs you had, oh really? I'm getting beeped. And last thing is he likes to beat me because I take a long time. Last is the strength of the team. So you're talking about all these marketing things you're going to do, and you say, yeah, but we only have 2 engineers. You need to get some other people on that slide to say, yeah, we're doing all this marketing, it's going to take off, and it's not just engineers running it. We've got 2 or 3 other partners or advisors or whatever that is, because I don't believe you as an engineer are going to be able to market the thing properly.
So now I have like 10 seconds left. This just took my minute. Okay. He said that. I mean, that's a great start. I think, yeah, if you give a bit more validation to the numbers that you pushed out, sometimes right away when you try to give that wow factor of it's $5 billion, but how much of that $5 billion really is in the niche umbrella market? And when you talk about why things break, it's just because of cost. So it's cheap material. So you got great material. Well, what stops the next guy from having great material and then adding a Bluetooth? So a little bit of differentiation is, I think, what I as an investor would look for. But you got me. I kind of want to buy one, to tell you the truth, just so that I can say I had one of these.
But will you invest?
Yeah, that's the question, right? So you got a good enough product for me to buy, but back to the question at hand. And then how are you going to take this $300,000 and when you say you're going to value it at $2 million? I look at stuff like that and I wonder, you know, are you telling me that it's almost, it works counterintuitively, right? So if you say, oh, your $300,000 is going to turn to $2 million, you start turning, I start turning the other way because it sounds like candy. And then, but if you really get into how it works a bit more on the financials, you'll do well. Good luck with it.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. All right, so we'll do some questions. Actually, why don't you guys want to jump in? Yeah. All right, so any questions from the audience? Well, I'm going to start off then with a question, Kevin. How, when you're expanding to these other countries, how are you working on delivery? How is this all working? Are you shipping from Canada, or are you shipping from anywhere else in the world? How is that all working?
For all the international shipments, we've been actually shipping directly from our contract manufacturer in China. So for international shipments, basically anything outside North America, we ship directly from Hong Kong. As for in America, we'll be shipping from Canada and US.
And are you finding a cost savings in doing that versus shipping all your product in container loads here to Canada and then redirecting?
For container loads, it's all about volume. So you need a lot more volume to even start looking at containers. For what the volumes that we're dealing right now, it's better to ship international from Asia and then ship locally within Canada, US.
I have a question. You mentioned that it sells for $99 and your margin is 75%. Is there an option to maybe decrease the margin, just like sell more, like higher volume, so the average person could probably buy one?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again?
So instead of selling it for $99, having a 75% margin, like maybe sell it for like less, like $40 or $20 or something, and have like a smaller margin and just like sell more, so the average person could buy one.
Yes, for sure. The only reason, one major reason we sell for $99 is most of our competitor products sell for a very similar price point. So for the high-end umbrella market, or the umbrella market that's very durable products, they usually do cost between $80 to $120. Those are for all the major competitors. The one major reason why we price at this point is because we want to create a distinction where when you go buy a high umbrella, you're already fixated on buying a high umbrella. You'll be choosing between only a certain selection of products. And then we're kind of showcasing why we're better than them, and that's the reason why you should pick us. But yes, there's many ways to tweak around the price to change it.
Okay.
I have a question about the distribution channels. What would be your main channels to acquire customers, and what would be the average CPA from them?
What do you mean by CPA?
Like cost per acquisition.
Okay. So far, our main way to attract, at least for our 1,200 customers we got so far, was through a lot of the reviews, the people that review our product, and they kind of just read about it. A lot of these were purchased, like a lot of these were actually pre-orders. So we actually just started shipping the beginning of this month, and we've been taking pre-orders for the past year and a half. The main reason we were like so far, we had a lot of orders through Kickstarter. That's where we technically spent no money in marketing. We had one prototype and we had a whole bunch of reviews. Technically, a quarter of those orders were actually back in Vancouver. So that's where we were based out of at the time. And that was just us showing off the product. And that was just based mostly off one article by Vancouver Sun. Like we actually spent no money in marketing, and then the past orders have just been organically. So we do kind of ramp up through bloggers, through reviewers, and really just showcase our product.
I have two questions. First question is, since you have a high-end product, there's a whole marketplace of people who buy $20 umbrellas. Have you already started developing a product that is still highly durable and has your unique selling proposition into it, but still is affordable? Like, are you creating a market for a lower market product for that?
Yeah, we have. Technically, the Mini is going to be our lower end market version. So basically, it may not have all the same features or material quality. So one of the major costs in this product is it's fully carbon fiber. That's a very expensive material just to give that extra oomph in durability. Like changing that material, for example, would help us create a more cost-effective product for the masses.
How much would that product be sold between
So we estimate that product will be around $40 to $50.
Right, okay, cool. And the second question I would have is, have you identified a niche type of customer you want to sell the most umbrellas to? Like, is it just anyone, or could it be fathers or mothers or entrepreneurs?
So far, for our initial customers of the 1,200, of our 900 customers already, minus friends and family, there's actually that's technically about 850 that's still strangers that buy our product. The majority of those, we actually start asking them a whole bunch of questions. Why did you buy our product? And they resonate with us. We built this product because we kept breaking umbrella after umbrella after umbrella. And it's almost exact same answer that we're getting from them. There are people who commute every day. There are people who live in rainy climates. And they're tired of actually going through broken umbrellas. It's not the fact that it breaks on you, it's the inconvenience it'll cause during the time it breaks. Imagine you're going to a big interview, all of a sudden your umbrella crashes on you, and you're going to show up in your interview soaking wet. It's those type of inconveniences that cost a lot more than the umbrella itself.
Yeah, so when you said they're on the way to a meeting, for example, would that be a businessman or a businesswoman who uses it and breaks it, or is it a single mother? So like what I would do is I take the 850 people and break it down to who is actually the target market that's buying it. It might just be women, for example, that they're on their way to a meeting. So that's
far, our customer base has actually had a very wide range. We have about 60% male and 40% female. Most of our customers are actually age 30 and above. Basically, people who have the disposable income to purchase a product like ours.
Okay, good. And one last question, or we're good? Oh,
It's not really a question, but I'm assuming that that umbrella over there is one of yours?
Yes, it is.
You took it out of your pocket but never showed it to us.
Yeah, I was trying to hold on too many things at once.
Yeah.
So, well, like the core mechanism was basically the suspension system. So every one of our ribs can independently pivot. So that prevents the umbrella from not flipping inside out, essentially. And you can come see this after as well, too.
Can I take it?
For $99, you can.
awesome. All right. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, next we're going to have Ian. Good to come up. So in our offering of how to help the startup community, we want to always provide lots of great inquisitive details, but of course we like to dive into how can you find funding, what are the things that the government's doing to help support startups in the community. So Ian's going to come give us a quick chat about that. Thanks, Ian.
Yep. What's the process here? Got it, okay. Yeah, so my name's Ian McGill. I'm based in Markham. My territory is Richmond Hill, but don't let that stop you from reaching out and asking me a question. I have cards with me, so if we want to connect afterwards, I'm glad to help and I can talk to anybody. So who's IRAP? So IRAP means Industrial Research Assistance Program. It's part of the federal government program contained within NRC. NRC means National Research Council. That's as much as I'll say in terms of the introduction of the organization. We're national, and really what being national means is this. There are 250 or so of me across the country making ourselves available to talk to folks who are trying to grow. And just to put a bit of a spin on who I am, everybody in IRAP has had a long, and in my case, quite long, history in the private sector. So working with technology companies or ag companies, and there's a lot of technology in ag, health sciences, mining, you name it. The 250 people across the country, like me, we have a very broad spectrum of experiences and careers, mostly with engineering and science backgrounds, and also with a lot of business backgrounds. So why does that matter? I'm not just saying it to try to impress. I'm saying it because when we talk with you as a program, we're leading with our experience. And we're not leading with our experience because we know more than you. We're leading with our experience in that we have had some successes and sometimes lots of failures, that experience might be relevant in our conversations with you. So we have a mission and a mandate, and I'm going to forget all that. Basically, why we exist is to help companies grow. And we are attracted to companies that want to grow, and we will go to great lengths to help you do that. We stay away from companies that don't want to grow so much, because that's not what it's all about. It's about getting this country running and getting companies more successful, both domestically and in the global markets. So a quick comment about how we deliver services. We call it advisory services, but I would also say it's more about connection. I have experience, but so do 250 of my colleagues. And they're varied, and they, when combined, they can represent an awesome force. We can connect you with that. We also have good exposure to other resources that exist within universities and incubators and provincial programs and municipal programs. We know a lot of people. We do that. But we also do programs. There's always a high interest in money. We do provide money. We provide it through our core program, which is basically IRAP supporting R&D projects that are not simple but hard, and when undertaken, help advance the company. We are providing funding for youth hiring because we have a national strategy to get more graduates into the workforce and away from jobs cutting grass or whatever job they might be able to get outside of their field of study, getting employees into their field of study to develop their resume and to develop real careers. We have two flavors of that. One is new grads. This is called our youth employment. One has a special emphasis on green industries, green companies. We have, I'll skip this one. We have an ability through another sister organization within IRAP to really help connect you with funding resources exist far outside of what IRAP is able to offer. So we're in that way trying to scale up our impact. And I'm going to stop. If there are any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them if there were any. Yes?
Do you work with non-Canadian companies?
Do we work with non-Canadian companies? Well, let me say this. Our desire is to help Canadian companies grow. And those Canadian companies can do business anywhere, but we're focused on Canadian companies. Okay? Did you want to explain your situation? Because there is never a clear-cut answer on these things, you know. What's going on in your life?
I have funded a French startup and I'm trying to grow a business.
Oh. Yeah.
Word on the street is you guys are out of money until April. Is that true?
Well, you know, it is true that we have seasonality in our program and that we have more money in April because that's when our fiscal year starts. But we always have a reason to talk. And for example, we have youth programs. If you want one, you know, let's talk afterwards. We should never let the conversation be stopped by do we have money in the moment or not? Because even when we don't have money, it takes time to get ready for the money. So we should always be talking. That's my answer. Good answer. Thank you. It's the truth. Yes?
Typically, what size company can see investment and how much growth are you forecasting to qualify? Is it the startup like in the ones that we see pitching here, or do you have to have a certain amount of employees and revenue to get funding to try that?
Well, I don't mean to be elusive, but I will be. Only because it depends. I mean, if you have an established company with an established market, global market, and they have revenue and they have a team and they have a growth strategy, that's pretty easy. And if you go down the spectrum to the bottom, I don't mean bottom in terms of importance to the country. I mean the bottom in terms of revenue and employees. It kind of depends. And it depends, and I heard somebody tell me VCs kind of think this way too. There was a pitch at Venture Lab today. Were you there? Oh, somebody here was there. And they said it comes down to the people, the team. So if you match risk with opportunity and an awesome leadership team, then we tend to go with the risk and we won't walk away from that. Is that too elusive to the point of not being helpful? Okay. I mean, we've been there. I think that's the other thing about the experience. Many of us, myself, we've been in that experience. We know how hard it is to get up on a solid surface and out of the mud. And, you know, personally, I love helping potentially very successful companies get up on that hard surface. That's when it's the hardest. That's when sometimes the support can really make the difference. And we don't shy away from that. Anybody else? Anyway, I'm here through the evening. I hope that was helpful.
That was good, thank you. You're gonna check? Okay. So we're just gonna make some quick downloads and pull up the next few presentations. Everett, you're gonna be up next. All right, Everett, you're up. We've had our socializing time. You're ready to go.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me here. My name is Everett Finley. I'm the CEO of Arrowinics. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what Arrowinics does. So to start off, I'm going to tell you about the problem that we are trying to solve. And the problem is that fireworks suck. And I know what you might be thinking, like, fireworks don't suck. I kind of like fireworks. And You're not wrong, because I like fireworks too, but they had some serious limitations with them. So obviously they're very expensive. So the raw material gets used up every single time you do a show. So your run-of-the-mill fireworks show is going to run sort of $10,000 to $50,000 for anything half decent. Some Disney parks are running $50,000 every single night to put on their fireworks show. Macy's Day Parade, $6 million put on that fireworks show. There's really a ton of price that goes into it. Awful for the environment. Really, really bad. Put terrible stuff in the air. They're too loud, which is part of their charm, but also there's a lot of places that don't allow them because people complain, their dogs get scared, and that sort of thing. So, really big issue. And they're just, I don't know, I mean, they're exciting, but we've all seen them over and over again, obviously. And they can't tell a story, so they can't be themed to a particular event. They're a bit limited in terms of what they can tell the audience. So what I can tell you today is how we're going to revolutionize the $4 billion commercial fireworks industry. And we're going to do that with drone light shows. Do I need to do anything to play this video? Okay. So this is from one of our earlier shows. This is for York University, actually. So this is their new engineering building. And it was a surprise. It was a VIP event. No one in the audience knew, but it was cold November night. It was inside. The idea was that this would start going on outside, and the audience would sort of catch notice of it and start looking at it through the windows. But what happened was someone found a door that was open, and there was literally a stampede of people running outside. This is outside, so this is everyone just like going outside onto the balcony. It's really cold out, but they didn't care. They just rushed out. And so I was inside doing the music. This is a great validation for us, just hearing their responses, knowing that we've put on something that really impressed people. Like, I didn't know this is possible. This is amazing. So this is with 20 drones, just to give you a sense of what's possible. This is all like 100 meters in the air outside of their building. But this is sort of like the beginning, the very beginning of what this technology can bring. So we're really, really excited about it. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about it tonight. So just to kind of break it down a little bit, I mean, obviously comparing fireworks and drone light shows, they both have the lights, that's for sure. They have the sound, I mentioned with fireworks, it's plus and a minus. Both drone light shows, you can sync it up to music. You can just hook up speakers, you can bring, so you make it as loud as you want, so you can do it wherever you'd like. They're obviously both scalable, and so like I showed you there, we had 20 drones, but you can do this into a couple hundred drones. Really unbelievable technology when you get up to that scale. Drone light shows are environmentally friendly. They can be customized, and by that what I mean is that you can customize it to whatever the client wants. So if it's a themed event, maybe they want to have their corporate logo as part of it. Maybe it's a public event and they want some advertising to offset the cost of the show. So you can really do whatever you want. You're working with a three-dimensional canvas. Sky's the limit with that. But the things I'm really excited about is the fact that it's reusable and repeatable, and then it's downloadable. The reason for that is that you can do this night after night after night, and all you need to do is recharge the batteries. You can do it a couple of times a night if you'd like. So you can do that over and over, very little incremental cost every time you want to do a show. And they're downloadable, shareable. So once you've programmed a show, you can share that with other operations all over the world. You can spend a lot of effort making an amazing performance and then sharing that with your operations all over the world, because it's basically just a series of flight scripts. So, as far as competition goes, if you guys have seen this, maybe you've seen Intel. So they did the Super Bowl, and they partnered up with Disney last year for a little bit. And they're really just doing like the biggest shows possible, right? So they're just going ones for the global PR. So they're not interested in doing small stuff. A couple other ones, Ars Electronica initially partnered with Intel, and Intel split ways with them. So they're still doing one or two shows a year, usually with 100 drones. And then Unique is the current record holder. They have done 1,000 drone show. They're the Chinese drone manufacturer. And they did one last winter, but they haven't done anything since. And so we look at the things, the benefits of this technology. They're scalable, customizable. So they've obviously taking advantage of this. I give a half check mark to the reusable because Intel did a couple of repeat performances with Disney. But for the most part, they're really not taking advantage of this. They're not doing show after show. They're not sharing this. They're just to have one operation that travels all over the world and does one show every, say, 6 months. And it's just wasting the benefit of this technology. So I think they're doing it wrong. And by the way, we've done more shows than all these other people combined so far. So, team. So myself, I've got a master's in economics and aerospace engineering. Before this, I was working in the aerospace industry, working on a couple different jets, on the military and the commercial side of things. my old professor, Hugh Liu, he's the founder of the company. He has one of the world's leading drone research labs. So gives us unparalleled access to talent as well as cutting edge research. It's a huge asset. Henry is another one of Hugh's ex-students, so he's our CTO. He's basically built this from the ground up. He's an absolute genius, is incredibly impressive. And then Hong is our CFO. So Hong and Hugh are not on the paid staff, but we have 4 full-time paid staff right now. So that's our team. So what we are looking for, we are looking for $300,000 for 15% equity in the company. What we'd like to do with this is to build out the number of shows that we do internationally. So that involves hiring international sales, and then in order to keep up with that demand, having operations personnel, people actually to design the shows that are a little bit more artistic than a handful of aerospace engineers. And then we're working on a performance design software, something used specifically to create these shows. And so we have the MVP version of that, but we want to keep developing that as well. So the main goal is really to grow our central operations, but also to start proving out our expanding and our regional operations model. So I can tell a bit more about that in a second. So as far as the timeline, we have a bit of a non-traditional start. We started out with $500,000 of funding from a company called Power Vision. It's a Chinese-based robotics and drone company. And we basically spent the first year just doing R&D projects for them. And then in 2016, we really started doing focusing on some of our own efforts and really focusing on the light show market. So we did our first show in Canada with an audience in 2016, and then after that we did a 60 drone show in Beijing for a PR stunt for our seed investor, and then had our first paid show. And then really in 2017 is when things have started to ramp up. So since May of 2017, we've generated almost $300,000 in revenue. We've opened up our first U.S. operation, so we license our technology to them, and then they're doing shows in the U.S. We did a 3-week stint of shows for the Pacific Northern Exhibition, which is like the CNE, the PNE, but in the Vancouver. So that was a big thing for us. And next week I'm leaving for Kuwait, so we're doing the grand opening of the new Four Seasons Hotel there. So things are really ramping up. We're really excited with how things are going. So yeah, we're just expecting more and more coming up. So as far as the short-term business model, we're really focusing on being the drone light show service provider. So end-to-end, we do the design work, we do the execution, we do everything. So our two main markets are event-based shows, so it's like sort of small number of shows, and then also the recurring shows. So we really want to focus more on the recurring shows going forward. So these are things like theme parks, where night after night you're doing shows, resort chains, where they're entertainment nightly, sports games, that sort of thing, because that's really taking advantage of this technology and be able to do this night over night with it, not a lot of incremental cost. We're right now responding to international demand. There's only a couple of companies in the world that do this. There's a lot of demand for it right now, so we're basically just responding to people asking for this all over the world. We have proposals just everywhere. It's really, really exciting. So we're trying to keep up with that demand. And then to scale this company, we really want to leverage those international shows into those regional operations. And so it sort of talked a little bit about the downloading of shows and sharing shows. So that's really where the benefit of this technology is going to come forward, and that's what we want to do. So we have teams all over the world set up with their own set of drones. In the best areas to work with. We're going to be working through drone industry operators, so people who already know the regulatory environment that they're working in. They're familiar with drones, so they're going to be good with the equipment. But we're really focusing on keeping it scalable, so low cost and a short startup time. So we're looking to be starting with 30 drones, less than 2 months to get up and running. From what we've been able to do in Canada, so far we're expecting a $50,000 per month average revenue. To be honest, Canada's not the best place to start this up, but here we are. And then the model that we'll work is going to be like a monthly fee plus a percentage of revenue that we're going to work with all these operators. So as far as these are just like simple assumptions right now, but they're just going to give you an idea of what level of revenue that we can get to on a relatively short scale. So if we want to open up 6 operations next year, 12 the following, and 24, that gets us to $20 million by the end of 2020. And so that's just with $50,000 a month per operation. So these are all like the $50,000 a month per operation. This is what we're doing now. We're very confident this is totally replicable, or repeatable rather. And it's just a matter of getting up the operation set up. So it's, simple assumptions, but it gives you an idea of where we're hoping to get to. So current status, we're the only company in Canada to do this. We're the second in the US to be able to do this after Intel. We're going to be the first in Kuwait as of next week. We've done 220,000 performances since May. We've got another 60K booked, and we have about 450,000 in proposals that are outstanding right now. So again, we're looking for 300,000 in return for 15% equity. We've had great media attention so far. It's one of the benefits of doing this. We're able to attract crowds much more than would be otherwise to events, and it also helps us every time we do a show. We get a lot of media attention. It's helping us to do the next show, so it's been very, very good for us. So that's it. Thanks very much. My name is Eric Finley. We're Arrowinics, and we're going to be the future of the $4 billion fireworks industry. Thanks very much.
Right on time. Gregory.
Hi. Sorry. Hi. Very interesting. I've seen the one of the halftime show for the Super Bowl. I was very impressed by that. I don't know how many drones there were, but there were like hundreds. So I've got some question about what you demonstrate here about the sales. You are looking for $300,000. You want to invest just 25%. So if I'm good in math, it should be like $75,000. And I understand it's a licensing model. I don't really understand your sales strategy. You've got a bunch of very impressive people. I see a CEO, I see a founder, I see a CFO, and that's interesting, but that's not the people that's going to sell. So if you tell me that you're going to make $20 million within 3 years on revenue with just investing $75,000 into sales, that's pretty scary for me. That's the first point. The second point is, what is the... I can do both? Okay, sorry. Okay, I got it quick. So the second thing is, you said you've got 220,000 show, if I understand well, since May. So what's the revenue per show, and what's the cost of acquisition per show for you to get one? So basically, it's sales questions.
Great presentation. I hate fireworks, so I think fireworks suck. That's interesting. The idea of videotaping a fireworks display is mental to me. Like, look, another explosion. But I still think there are cultures in the world, like you go to Spain, and there are people who just like to light shit on fire and get drunk. So I'm not sure you completely understand the market. So you're looking at like $1 billion market. I think there are people that like displays, but I'm not sure that's actually a fireworks issue. So saying sort of there's $1 billion market, I think you really need to better understand what that market looks like, where you fit in that market. I'm not sure you figured that out yet. Back to sales. I also, for most of this presentation, I didn't know what you did. So I was sort of going, what do you do? Do you sell shows, or do you sell drones, or do you sell packages? Or like, I didn't understand that. So that made me really confused all the way till the very end when you started to describe it. And then when you started to describe it, I started to think, okay, well, you haven't proven demand on the sales side. You haven't proven scalability, really. So there's some stuff that I feel is really missing from a sort of business perspective. But I really still didn't understand what you do and how you're going to make money. Last but not least, just tactically. So you kind of followed this presentation. One of the things when you're giving presentations is think of the presentation as another person that's giving a presentation with you. You're kind of reading off and letting the slides follow you, and you got to get away from that because it just makes it seem like you're just a puppet, and then sort of the presentation you could go away and we just read the presentation. And you need to get the passion of what you're doing and those kind of pieces out if you're going to convince investors that you know the business.
All right, I'm going to be nice.
We were nice?
Yeah, you guys are great. I want to see this succeed, right? So what would shut everybody up, I think, is if you got your Disney or somebody like that to really validate it. You've had 2-3 years right now to work on it. Take the time and get somebody like that to validate it. Obviously, yeah, you got to make sure the numbers work. Maybe bring a bit more finance into the equation. But then everybody will jump on your bandwagon because I think it's pretty cool.
Okay, any questions from the audience?
Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick one. What's avoid someone like DJI, which is one of the biggest drone seller on the planet, to provide an API to do this kind of thing? I mean, what's proprietary in what you are doing?
I think if DJI wanted to get into this market, then hopefully they would come and ask us to sell it to them. I mean, I think naturally, like someone who has the DJI's experience and their supply chain. I mean, if they wanted to say, for instance, sell this as a product, it wouldn't be that difficult for them, I think, because they've done such an amazing job with their design work. But I think so I guess two parts. I don't think DJI wants to be in the service industry. That's totally different than what they've been doing. And I don't think this technology is quite ready yet to be an out-of-the-box type of thing. So there's still a fair amount of training that's involved. There's a lot of security that goes into it. And so I don't think that they would likely be getting into it just yet, because it's a very different business model for them. So that's sort of the answer I have, yeah.
Okay.
To follow up on that question, I'm not sure I got what your technology is. Is it only software, or are you building your own drones? And further than that, what exactly is your product? Is it, you want to sell shows that you design yourself, and as people have license will run those shows, or can you?
Sure, yeah. So the technology we use is much off-the-shelf drone parts as possible. So we're not like designing new drones, but we have sort of bringing together mostly off-the-shelf parts. As I mentioned, we obviously have our own lights that are part of it. So it's really like the secret sauce is really the software that runs on the drones themselves, the ground station software that controls them all, and then the communication network that allows the ground station to talk to a couple hundred drones at once. So what we're really selling right now is the full service, but we want to not get away from that, but we want to have sort of a way to more easily scale the company. And so to have to have a regional operation. So at first we would be doing the design work. But I did talk about the fact that we're working on a software that's designed specifically to create these shows. And so as that is ready to be rolled out, that will be something that we can like sell to them as a software, on a monthly basis. So then they're free to design their own shows if they would like, or they can still work through us. So it'll sort of evolve over time. But right now we're definitely focusing on like doing like the design work and all that stuff. And then hopefully down the line, we'll be able to put that in the hands of individual operators so that they can go and book their own shows, they can design their own shows, and really we can be hands off more. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just going to ask, what are you doing to target and position yourself to your clients? How are you marketing yourself?
Mm-hmm. So far our marketing has been pretty limited. I mean, it's basically just been like direct sales to like event production companies or event producers. So whether that's say within like a municipality or town, like they have an events organization, or specifically event production companies, we've really been selling it as, look, there's this new thing, it's awesome, it really wows audiences. We're definitely selling the novelty of it right now. And we do mention as a replacement for fireworks, because a lot of like the municipalities, for instance, have a budget for fireworks, and they would love to spend that on something else. Over time, I think it's really going to be, as the technology advances, it's going to be less about the novelty and more about the capabilities and what we can do. It's not going to be long before there's going to be a couple of thousand of these, and then it's going to be a full 3D animation, and so. The selling points will change over time, I think, as the novelty kind of wears off. But for this point right now, it's really been like the novelty, like do something that people have never seen before, and you can bring that to your event.
I have a question about the scalability. From what I can understand, you have a lot of manual work. What happens if tomorrow you have 10 more clients? You probably need to hire more people to handle them, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, it's not. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if 10 people wanted shows next week or next month, then yeah, we'd probably have. We wouldn't be able to do them all. So there is a certain amount of that. But that's also sort of part of our strategy to enable these regional operators, so that, say for instance, like if we had 5 different operators in the U.S. and maybe a couple in Canada, if all of a sudden that there was 10 people that needed shows next month, then we could combine resources and have them be allocated to those people that are the high demand areas that are right there. So I totally agree with you, and we're struggling with that somewhat right now, because people are asking, can you do show for us next week? And we say, no, sorry, we're booked up. So that does happen. But we're trying to get away. We're trying to deal with that by having multiple operations that we can pool together as demand requires.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. You have to catch him on the way out. Yeah. Oh, you can do. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let's go. All right.
Hi everyone. Thank you to inviting me to this show. Today I will present you Alkion BioInnovations, the French biotech company which is there to disrupt the cannabis marijuana market. So, Alkion BioInnovations is a company. Alkion BioInnovations is a company which is doing research and development and developing new technology for cannabis market. So, is this one? Yep. So we are gonna to disrupt the North American medical marijuana market with a new way to produce it, which has two big advantages. You will have a better quality, better yield, and finally a lower cost. So basically the idea is to provide to patients who really need that a much better product, so without pesticide, heavy metals, all bad things that you can find in US now, much less in Canada, and to decrease the cost with the technology. So we are a proud team of scientists mainly, from a top university in Europe and in US, Berkeley, let's say. Also, in terms of shareholders, as we are a spin-off from Imperial College from London, so one of the top researchers, Professor Nixon, is helping us to improve the technology with Dr. Michu, which also a very top guy for research in plant. Myself and Meryl, we are specialized in commodity trading, and we invest a lot of money in this company to make it one of the biggest potential cannabis technologists in the world. So we have a lot of partners, so mainly scientific partners from top university in Europe. And we'll have soon one top American company, American university. We have some good French funding, which help us in this difficult moment. So what about the opportunity? It's very simple. I don't have much to say. It will be one of the biggest trends in the history. You have internet, you have maybe blockchain today, but globally, this business worldwide could go up to, let's say, $20 billion in let's say, 7-8 years. Germany is open, Israel, in a few days will be Italy, Greece, Poland, Australia. But what happened is very simple. Canada, with Mr. Trudeau, they decided to change the market, and doing that, they helped the players in Canada to be the next world leader for marijuana. And that is a big chance for your country. And we need to help them, because the way they're doing it is a bit of a mistake. If you want, drug dealer did produce cannabis basically the same way than you can do now in Canada. It's funny, okay? Today the guys are just improving the candle where we are coming with the electricity. So, doing that, we have a lot of advantage in terms of traceability and of quality of the product, and we can also improve the stability of the production. But one main point of what we are doing is just we are working in sterilized conditions to avoid any bad effect for the plant. That is very, very different from what they are doing now. Our technology helps to improve yield just because we are putting the plant in a nirvana mode, if you want, where we are training the plant to produce exactly what we want, so THC, CBD, CBG. There's so many cannabinoids that we'll discover in the future. And doing that in this new environment, the yield could be 20 times more than the best Canadian company today. So I don't want to be too much technical there, but it's fundamental to understand what we're doing. Today, people are just educated gardeners in Canada. It's good, fantastic. It's the way we are doing that in Europe for a trafficker, for a drug dealer, the last 30 years. Very good. But the plant need to be understood, you know. When you just think about the way they're doing it, they just miss the main point. Plant have genetics, okay, which need to be played with. You don't need to do any GMO, okay. We just stimulate the plant. Let's say an example to understand what we're doing. If you take Rod Laver on tennis in 1910, and now you make it play today with Roger Federer, there is no match. Roger Federer will explode him. He's no match. In this case, it's the same thing. We train the plant so much that against Rod Laver, there's no match. It's better to explain like that. So what we are going to do in Canada is just this week, we are meeting a lot of LPs who want to go another step, okay, with high quality products, and to have this technology basically to pay us royalties. So that's the problem. We need to negotiate that. But I would say between 10 and 20% royalties to use the technology to produce more at a better price in a lower space. So people are doing buds, okay, today. It's beautiful buds, about 4 or 5% of the plant. Nice one. In our case, we just ask the plant to produce on leaves. You don't have roots. We are using bioreactor, special bioreactor patented, and doing that, between 80 to 90% of the biomass, so the plant if you want, we don't call plants, is leaves. And the leaf, we're pushing the leaf to have up to 15 to 30%, depending on what you want, of THC. So some people are working, if you want, on the same family of technology, but they don't have the bioreactor to make it industrial. We are the first company to have done that. So just an example. So today we are working on laboratory. We estimate what we will do with mid-scale and large-scale production. So cost of production is about, in CAD, $8 per grams in labs, okay? We expect to make it relatively around $1.5 Canadian dollar per grams for a large scale. Okay. The big difference, if you compare to the top Canadian producer, is that for the yield they are producing for each batch 0.7 kilo per square meter. In our case, it's 5. And another point is that we are doing 10 harvests, if you want, per year. We can go, we think, up to 12 in the future, improving the technology, when these guys, they are maximum limited to 3. So the technology is patented, okay? We have 3 patents working on it, which are granted in US, Canada. We are waiting to have the answer, but should be okay. It's a large know-how because we've worked on it on a long time, and we have a lot of top scientific partners with us. So I will give you a secret. It's just a duplication of what we have done in cosmetics. We created in 2011 a company named Alkion BioPharma, okay, and we have sold it to one of the largest German chemical company last year for $10 million US. And it has been a success on cosmetics, but cosmetics is not great for this technology. Cannabis is done for it. And we will just repeat what we have done in a much bigger market with something which makes much more sense to help patients. On cosmetics, it's difficult to say we can help much. So basically, we have worked on 4 years on the technology, okay? Right? We didn't raise any money. I just put the money, and we make that. We make the technology to be one day able to go to cannabis. We sold the company to invest in Alkion BioInnovations to be able to improve the technology for cannabis, to make it more industrial. We were a bit like a scientific more than industrial. And now we are going to Canada to help LPs and to just disrupt the market. So we want to set up an independent Ontario company, okay, to work with LPs to set up the bioreactor as a technology in the labs, in the production. And today, we are coming there so to raise potentially some capital. And just for 10% of the company, we want to offer. So the price is 4.5 million euro pre-money. We think it's very cheap, to be honest. The potential of the company could be massive. We have difficulty to understand very well the market because it's a bit new market, okay? But players we are meeting all want to work with us, but you know, the discussions are tricky. So I just want to thank you about the moment. It was good to present you what we expect to be the next disruption for cannabis market. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, want to start?
Sure, I'll start. I'll take the 3 minutes from now. First of all, thank you very much for coming this far to do it. I can't imagine how difficult it must be as well to make a presentation like this here, so appreciate it. Personally, if I'm looking at this as an investor, the simple way I look at this is it's basically a crop enhancer, yeah? A crop enhancer? Am I understanding? Okay. So perhaps I'm oversimplifying it, but I've heard the same sort of presentation made on another crop enhancer, which has to do with the proteins that are at work that allow for such yields. It's important if you're talking to people who are going to know a bit more detail than that to really start differentiating the differences. You spent some great time talking about some areas, but as an investor, I'd really want to know a bit more about really how the numbers roll out. I really didn't see enough there to help me understand how is this going to be spent and where it's going to go. So thank you and good luck to it as well. It's not a question, it's just thoughts, yeah.
Apparently, you're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to answer. We can say whatever we want. Woo! So great presentation. Thank you very much. A couple of quick things. One is when you're in a room of investors, you've got some great taglines. Like I like the "improve the candle while we're bringing electricity," or "we're educated gardeners here in Canada," or some things like that. But when you have a lot of great taglines, and one of my questions is it starts to sound like you're selling, like you're really great on the sales pitch, but it's not really clear yet the sort of delivery. How can I put this? It sounds like you're sort of selling cannabis oil as opposed to snake oil. That would be my. The presentation doesn't feel like a $4.5 million presentation yet. So I like the pictures of are there people actually working and what does it look like? Like the professionalism of the presentation I think needs a lot more polish, so you need to work like with an agency like Hardboot or something like that to make the presentation look like you've achieved what it is that you are claiming, if that makes sense. So the claims are really big, and I think you're going to, in a room full of investors, they're going to not believe you unless you can show examples of what it is that you've done. That would be my guess. So the valuation seems very high based on on what I smell from the presentation versus what you've been able to say that you can prove. Does that make sense?
So just to get back to you to this point, because I'm French, you can hear the accent somehow. I have part of Netva with Morgan over there. We brought those companies from France. Valuation-wise, the way it works with France is totally different, even at the seed level. So it's a cultural gap, I would say, first. But I agree with you. My point would be here that what I love with this gentleman is totally passionate about what he says, but it's very confusing for me. It's super confusing. You talk about, I don't want to go too much into details and technology, techniques, but you go like straight to the cocaine, like go for it, and it's confusing. On the marketing side, you speak so fast that I have hard time to catch up, and English is not my language as much as it's not your language, so I think it's confusing. With regard to the business, where it's confusing for me, it's just about when you talk about what you do, I don't know if the model is like you license the process, or you give the grower a solution as part of their process and say, listen, that's what you do. So I don't know if you provide them something or if you help them to do something. And for me, it was confusing. Yeah, but that's why it needs here. It's like a attic with a lot of things. You need to get the spider out of the attic, if you see what I mean, to clean it up.
Okay. Good points. Here's this. Any questions from the audience? I was thinking the same thing. So are you breaking those out, Angelo?
Just a quick question about your customer and the business model. Are you going to commercial growers or domestic growers? And if that's the case, I believe like in Canada, there's 67 licenses for commercial growers. So how much do you have to lease it to those 67 growers to make that $4.5 billion? Or do you see that growing to the consumer model as well?
Okay, no. What we'll provide to the LPs is bioreactors, okay? We'll train also the team to use it. We will give them, if you want, the recipe, okay, for the plant to behave like we have in terms of results, okay? So to have this kind of super yield, you need, I would say, what we call a elicitor, so which is an enhancement solution to push the plant to this extreme stress. And doing that, we'll also offer them after-sales service, okay, in case they have a problem of maintenance. We'll also provide them all improvements we are doing in the technology, because we are still keeping on the top of what we are doing new possibility to increase yield. And basically, after with LPs, they will just buy the right to use that, okay, against upfront, so small upfront plus royalties. That's the way it works on nutrition, okay? Because we're also we're working a bit on nutrition, and it's more like 20% royalties, okay? That's it. And doing that, the more LPs you will have, better for you. And let's say, okay, it's not so big today, but if you're, let's say, 10% of the market share, with 10% of 10%, you are massively in the money. Because we don't have any capex, any cash requirements. Then we have just an office and people in France working with a low cost because we have a lot of research tax credits in France to do research. And then we're improving for them to help them to be on the top of the sales, on top of the quality. Because our main goal is not to go to recreational and to sell to anyone whatsoever the idea. The idea is to give the top quality. And top quality, we believe, in the future will help patients to use more medical marijuana for different reasons. But if you take normal marijuana, you have toxic thing inside. People doesn't tell you, but even if you grow it normally, you think that you should not have it. With this technology, you can modulate exactly all parameters, all compound inside. And doing that is a final solution. Maybe there's one potential future solution in the 20 years is to play with yeast and GMO yeast, but we are very far from that, very far.
So and I may have interpreted your presentation, but the one thing that I gleaned from your presentation is that you've been working on this process for quite a while, finalized it to a stage that you're ready to launch into the marketplace. And the point that I got was that you've come across some barriers in terms of embracing your approach and your solution.
No.
Do you? So how many customers do you have, and what stage are they at?
So we are coming to start, if you want, to sell the technology. You need to understand that in France, cannabis is just illegal. Just to promote the information that I will do something in cannabis, I could go to jail. So I ask the right to do research on it, and my labo, I don't have the right to have more than 50 grams of THC in my labo. All on the top of it need to be burned. Okay. So it was for us, I'm an ex-investment banker, a big risk to take. I decided to take it when Prime Minister Trudeau decided to say, 1st of July, you'll have federal law. And then, okay, it makes sense for me. I don't want to take any legal risk. It's why I want to go to Canada, and if the LPs want to sell one day in USA, they will do, but I won't have to go there. Otherwise, I don't know. If it's not federal law, I'm not inside. And also Imperial College, which is the top university in UK, doesn't want to be involved in a dangerous thing. So I'm also technically binded by them. Otherwise, people wanted us to go there for cannabis, but it was too early for us.
Okay, so we're gonna, because of the time, we're gonna drop there. But thank you. I think to iterate on that point is that they have been going to a lot of different meetings here to get buy-in from the companies on the yield process of the fact that they're utilizing more of the leaf plants to be able to sell that product through. So we all think about the bud as being the number primary product that comes from the leaf. They're going to be able to change the whole mechanism of how that works to create the leaf to be just as valuable as the bud, which drives more yield, which drives more dollars. I'm now working for you. All right, so our last presentation, Wisebatt. Here you go.
Hey, thank you for the introduction. So hi everybody, it's a pleasure for me to be here. So, yeah, thank you. So I'm Wilfried, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wisebatt. I'm coming from France, as you can guess my English accent. And at Wisebatt, we are enabling quicker hardware innovation. And this is something that's really important to us. So let me drive you to what hardware design is. Basically, if you want to create a device, might be this one, might be your smartphone, might be any kind of hardware-based device, you will need to invest between 6 and 48 months before you get the first prototype. On the top of that, you will need 5 prototypes to reach something that you can go in production with. It means that you get to take 5 iterations based on your initial design. And you will need at least $1 million before being able to put anything on the market. In addition, there's a lack of visibility, there's a lack of collaboration within the ecosystem, and every engineers tend to start to design everything from scratch. As a result, processes are slow, they are risky, and that's why today, for any kind of startup, you will need 8 years to go from the ID to the IPO. So put that aside. What happens if you have a small design flow? Well, I think that you recognize this. This is Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Probably one of you buy one. Problem with this is that it explodes. And yeah, the problem behind that is that there are a lot of experts at Samsung that are doing a really great job at designing these kind of devices. But yet, there was this small flow. And this small flow costs over 2 months only 10 billion to Samsung, not mentioning the reputation. But let's go a bit deeper with a more dramatic problem. So if you don't know what it is, this is a pacemaker. One of the top companies, a few weeks ago, recalled between 400,000 and 500,000 of these kind of devices. It means that between 400,000 and 500,000 people will have to get on surgery once again. And this is a very, very huge surgery because of a small design flow. So there has to be a better way, there has to be a solution to that. So what we observe is that, first of all, we need a platform to provide engineers with the right insight at the right time of the design process. So it's basically using simulation. And we will consider battery life, performance, cost, and all the production constraints such as availability of the components. But you also need to collaborate. It means to build a great device, then you need a lot of experts around the table. So you need a marketplace, which is something that has been here for decades when you are talking about open source software, but doesn't exist yet on the hardware community. So this is really important, and on this marketplace, you have to take into consideration everything that has an impact on your design, which means hardware itself, software that it will use, but also network, environment, and so on. And the idea behind that is to reach more reliable devices in a shorter period of time. So here's the solution. This is our product. This is called Estimate, and this is basically a toolbox for every single engineer that will allow him to access to what is called a virtual prototype. So instead of waiting between 6 and 48 months to get the first characteristic of what he is designing, he has in only half an hour from the really beginning, so from the ID stage, an idea of what will be the characteristic of his device. So there's a bunch of features, I won't go across them. But what's important is that so far what we've did with our first customers is that we allow them to save 3 months over a 12-month long design cycle. We also allow them to save half of the prototype. So it means that over the 5 in average prototype that were required, half of them were only needed to reach the same level of quality. And then we allow them to save more than $200,000 on each of their projects. So there are names here. So I could name On Semiconductor, that is a silicon vendor, but also Sigfox, that is operating network, and smaller companies. So now the why now? Well, basically there's 2 reasons. First one is that engineering culture is dramatically changing. And on a more broader way, socially speaking, there is a self-empowerment of individual, which means that everyone now needs a better tool for himself, for the work that he is doing. And then the second thing is that hardware is sexy again. Well, to explain that, I should go a bit deeper into electronic component market, but I will simply say that 10 years ago, before buying a product, you had to check for compatibility list. So you had to go through a list to know if you will be able to use the device you're going to buy with your actual equipment. Now you don't care. You buy something that is Bluetooth, it will work. I mean, unless it's an Apple-based product, but it will work. So this is what is called hardware component commoditization. So those are the 2 facts that makes a great momentum. What's the size of the market? Well, $14 billion are spent each year to address and fix hardware design issue. On the top of that, each catastrophe costs on the average $10 billion. And when you go to the tendency of these markets, then 20 years ago, there were only big players, like big companies that were doing hardware. It was something that was reserved to this kind of organization. Now, almost a third of the hardware market value is generated by small and medium companies. This is a huge shift. And we think that it's going to grow even more. Regarding the competition, well, engineering toolbox are most of the time crowded. So you can find startups that are trying to provide insights at over moment in the design cycle. You can also find the very old actor of the value chain that are trying to push their solution, but most of the time they are perceived as advertising means more than practical fixes for the engineers. And you will also find expertise that is sell for the moment to design and engineering office, but also to a very specific position that is called application field engineers, which is basically an engineer that is paid by a technology company to provide support to the designer. Where we are sitting at is between the do-it-yourself, that is long time lasting and implies potential flow, as I have been describing at the beginning of the presentation, and the design tool that are already well in place and all the production where engineers find everything they need. The go-to-market, well, we start with a huge problem, I think you guess it, which is battery-powered devices. And we allow people, basically, we allow engineers to know really early on how long their device will last on a battery charge, instead of the waiting 6 to 48 months. And in order to do so, we integrate the 500 key components that are now used in most of the product. And we're going to sell that to small design offices, to OEM, which is original equipment manufacturer, but also to maker through a recurring license. Talking about that, business model is a freemium one. It means that we have a free offer for the community. The only contingency to be able to access to the software on the free offer is to put your project into public mode. It means that everybody that will come on the platform will be able to beneficiate from the project, from the design you put there, and will be able to improve it. And we will keep track of the fact that you were the first one to design that. I will go back on that a bit later. And we have an offer for the companies that are very sensitive on their IP that starts from 249 euros per user and per month. The idea behind that is to enhance the creation of a marketplace. Well, let's talk about the network effect. So there's John that just subscribed to the platform, and he will design 3 devices. Then Barbara subscribed as well. And all of a sudden, she finds that the thing that she want to do, well, actually, John designed part of it. So she will reuse that and make something a bit greater or maybe to another use. So the fact that Barbara come onto the platform also beneficiate to John prior to that. And the fact that John was on the platform before Barbara come in also beneficiates to Barbara. What happened is that if Lucy subscribed, then she will be able to beneficiate as well from what Barbara has been doing, which will probably also make John beneficiate from the arrival of a new user. On the other side of the table, you get all the hardware company that want their project to remain private. Then they still can beneficiate from improvements that come from the community. And the very old actor, which is the value chain actor, so all the silicon vendor, service provider, manufacturing, well, basically they will be able to push their solution to those guys. So behind that, there is a team of 8 people, 4 on R&D, 2 business developers. My co-founder, Marion, that is Chief Product Officer and has a strong background in user experience and design. Myself, that spent almost 6 years of my life working on this technology, did a PhD on that, had a patent. Regarding the financial, well, we're about to make 120,000 K on the first year of activity, but we plan to reach break-even probably in 2 years. Why America? Well, because 35% of our market is here, which is basically at least 5 billion euro, and we are raising 1.7 million euro, 70% of them on sales and marketing for a period of 18 months. That will allow us to reach 1,000 paying customers. So a good position on the market. So I thank you, and I will welcome any of your questions.
Okay, thank you. Me first? Okay. That was a fantastic presentation. In fact, I'd see that immediately going in front of a group of angels, because I could see investing in that immediately as a group. I love the story. You sort of walk people through in a great way. You show people the product. You show people where it's going to go. You show people the basic financing. There's a lot of great stuff in there. I see that you're sort of becoming GitHub for electronics. Do you know GitHub? Yeah, obviously. One of the questions that I have, though, is that you're talking about the sort of the basic network model effect, and how one of the things you're not talking about is licensing models, and whether you're putting what kind of licenses and how you're going to manage that, and what the IP implications are. And you've got the fear of God in me when I look at that. You're describing overly simplistically those issues around IP, and for people who have spent a lot of money, in their IP of their hardware, you're going to freak everybody out in that way. So you might want to put something in there about what those licenses look like, or how other pieces look like that. But yeah, great presentation.
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. I'm just looking at it from just an app point of view, right? From almost, it seems to me, I'm not an engineer, but it looks like it's almost like a project management help to the engineer to get it going. I see things very simply, and it's just got to make sense to me on a simple level. So when I look at that, I wonder what stops another person from really being able to give them the same sort of tools. The strength of this is in the tools and in the community and marketing around that. It just leaves me with a question as to how this will be sustained long run. Fantastic idea, like so many, but it's just a question in my mind still.
So I like the presentation. Good look and feel, and you show, the passion as well on what you say. I always go back to the sales because at the end of the day, that's what matters for me to make it successful. You explained that you're gonna spend like almost 1.5 million Canadian, because here it's Canadian dollars and not euro, by the way. I'm wondering what you do for 1.5 million, and it's very vague. You ask quite a lot of money based on your stage, and talking about 1.5 million, saying we put that in sales. I mean, you've got companies, successful companies, spending less than $0.5 million a year. So what I'm saying by that, it's a lot of money. So I would have loved to see what's going on with that.
Okay, good. Here you go. Okay, any questions? Whoa, wait. We'll go to this side. You've asked too many questions.
I'd like to ask about the marketplace, because we're sort of looking at a similar idea of marketplace, being able to share like light show designs. And so just wondering, what challenges do you see having to face when sort of having some person design one thing and then other people can take a part or a whole of that and then modify it somehow? Like, it seems like there's a lot of challenges of keeping track of who owns or responsible for what. And I'd be interested to hear about what you've thought about the challenges that you'd be looking to face in the future.
Yeah, so thank you for the question, and that's a point. So basically, these challenges, even though it might be huge, it has been solved in the music industry and in all the collaboration-based industry, and especially open source software. So the thing is that you have this thing that is called Creative Commons. So then, as a producer, you can choose your creation to be shareable, but could not be used to sell a product. So that's the first point. And then the second point is that since hardware is becoming a commodity, the value is more into algorithms that are developed on the top of the hardware. So I would say that we are today implementing Creative Commons, and we believe that this could be enough. But the other thing is that we didn't reach 1,000 paying customers so far, and we don't know how those people will behave regarding the community. But the thing that is for sure is that we're here to serve engineers' needs, so both company needs and community. So if there's a separation to make, the easiest one would be okay. All the free side will be able to beneficiate from each other, but that will be separated from the private side.
Bien, bonne présentation. Je vais vous demander, ça semble que vous avez beaucoup de clientèle qui utilise ton application pour peut-être les électroniques personnelles et peut-être les véhicules électriques. C'est tous les piles de batterie lithium, ça c'est correct. Mais est-ce que vous avez des clientèles qui vont utiliser pour peut-être la puissance générée par l'hydrogène?
By what, sorry?
Hydrogen.
So thank you for the question. One of a very technical one.
Repeat it in English, though.
Okay, sorry. So the question is, we are modeling batteries, lithium-ion batteries that are both in small devices, but also in electric car, for instance. Question is, will we be able to also model hydrogen-based generator? Was right? Okay. So yeah, well, basically the technology that we're implementing has been worked and has been developed over like 15 years in the laboratory I did my PhD on. So I just came on the top of those 15 years, and the main goal of those 15 years was to come with a way to model things that could be kind of almost universal power source-wise. Which means that as far as you can make the characteristics of your whatever power source it is, it can be hydrogen, it can be lithium-ion, whatever it is, then you can model it, you can put in the software, and you can make it interact with other components. Welcome.
I had a question regarding your business model. You're making your user pay, and you want to, I guess, build a huge community around your software. Can you, and you need to reference all the electronic components. Why wouldn't you make pay? Why, like the people manufacturing electronic components would be, it's interesting for them to be referenced in your solution. Why are they not paying to get into your solution? Why are they should be paying? I mean,
thank you for the question. I never said they never would. So basically, that's the final idea. So it's quite complex business model, but the thing is that yeah, that's my friend. That's not. We would like at some point to have the designer part, even the one that is for the company, completely free, because we believe that we should design just safe product. And well, if I have like 30 seconds, the reason why the pacemakers things was going on is because they invest 4 years, I think, in the development of this thing, and they realized at the end of the 4 years that it was a small flow. Then they said, okay, what's the likelihood for these two triggers? And then people start to work on kind of mathematic models saying, oh, well, that's not that much, and even if it's big, it won't cost that much the company. That's truth. But I don't want this to happen. Or at least I want people to be very aware about what they are doing. So if I could have like the free version of the software, that would be just perfect. But the thing is that those guys don't know how to talk to those guys. They don't know anymore, because 20 years ago it was only big company buying departments. It was really simple. Now they don't know how to do it. Yeah. So that's why the 30% of the market that they don't know how to address, then we can take it on our own. And that's not a problem. We can take a fee on the commercial trade, and by any means, because we are making those guys in a relationship with those guys as well, but only when they are demanding it, and we can make them pay for that. It's called retargeting, basically.
I like it. All right, well, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to have Sir Lucas jump up and give us a nice little chat about what's happening in the York region.
Thanks. Hey guys, my name's Lucas. I am with an organization, a community called Startup York Region. And what we are is we complement other organizations in York Region that help entrepreneurs. If there are organizations that are specifically focused on York Region, Venture Lab, the several small business enterprise centers. Wisebatt launched you as part of York University, Seneca College, and there are quite a few more. IRAP obviously plays a role. So what we do, because there's funding and because there's training and because there's mentorship, a lot of what we try to do is bring together community. So we've identified a gap that there are not necessarily a lot of places where entrepreneurs can meet each other in a no pitch, no sales, no fee environment. So what we've been trying to do over the past several years to create that environment. So a lot of information about upcoming activities at startupyork.ca. So we do a couple of events. We also partner, so we do startup drinks. We do some entrepreneurs in residence speaker series where entrepreneurs will get up and share their journeys, because sometimes when things are going shit, you kind of want to hear that someone else went through it. The other thing is that we do partner with other organizations like the Open People Network. So when Jeffrey and the team said, hey, we have this thing, pitch it, here's the purpose, is to give startups who are looking for money an opportunity to practice their pitch before they get lambasted in front of investors. I said, that's awesome, we want one of those. So here we are, our third time, and we've worked with, the team's been great. So if you are interested in knowing what's happening in York Region, this is one resource. There are other places, but this is a starting point. So we've got, I'm not going to go through the website other than if you are curious, events and resources would seem to be the place to go. So startupyork.ca.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I think that pretty much gives us to the wrap of the show or the event. There is pizza, there's water. Enjoy yourselves, mingle, network, all that good stuff. And I just want to thank all of you for coming and helping support your startup companies. And there'll be lots more to come if you are available Thursday night. We will be downtown at the Lodge, which is 251 Queen Street, and it should be a great event as well. So looking forward to seeing you guys at the next event. And thank you everybody for flying in and everything else you guys have been doing. Have a great night.